March 5th, 30 p.m. We're going to close.
Andy Higgins. Filter, so I deal with the market. So my question, my question is a general question. All things we happy. I was here in the meeting just before COVID.
Testing 1, 2. Testing 1.
I can barely hear you.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I think we. It'll work now.
Try again though.
Can
Testing,
you hear us now?
testing.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hold on. All right.
Okay, are we good? Right. Name is Andy. Barrington Way, Hampton Park. First of all, congratulations for the Gateway Boulevard. Great addition to our community. People complain, I'm the one in favor of that. I think it makes it nicer, and people. My comment is the costs. Most of the developments here already have a playground. They have some kind of tennis, pickleball court. They have their own pool. And every time we add things, we have a budget, but this budget is paid by the home. So eventually, all these, we have several things happening. We have interest rates, right? A lot of people selling homes here because they can't afford. My case, but they are in fixed income. Cost goes up, insurance went up tremendously. HOA is going up, nothing to do with it. But CDD is every time. So I heard from one gentleman here that the new building, we need to have empty. But if we're going to increase dollars, we're going to have additional costs. So higher costs of, and at the same time, we have other costs. My question, what's going to happen with next hurricane or storm? We know we will have. This year now, El Nino comes back. Atlantic Ocean are extremely warm. Might have other events. That should be the priority. Be safe. But we know that these are. So every time I look at new projects, I say, what do we have already? Most of us, we need additional amenities. I would build the reserves. I don't know what the reserves are. I haven't seen the numbers, but that will be a priority for me. And putting new things in Gateway as community. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tamara Zahn, and I'm with Pinecrest Community. Just a couple things. My specific subject that I wanted to talk about is the dog park that's close to my backyard. And that's my first point is I think it's just too close to the residential areas. And there's plenty of space elsewhere that's not right on top of the residents. I heard last time there was a garden area. Maybe that's more residents. I personally have lived behind a dog park in the past. It was not pleasant. There's good intentions, there's rules, but the people don't follow the rules. So it's not only the dog barking, talking to each other in the gathering and tossing their ball and hollering at each other. It was very noisy and irritating. And the main thing I just wanted to also share this concern, and I'm glad a few people are here. I was concerned that I sat in on the Board of Supervisors meeting after the last Parks and Rec meeting last time. And what I heard on that call, it was brief, it was short, just said something about the fun park at the Park and Recs meeting, and it was all positive feedback. I was here and this room was full, standing room only, and very little, if any, positive feedback on the dog park. So I just want to make sure that the information that's coming from the residents is actually getting to the Board of Supervisors, you know, the way that it's received. And that's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Joshua?
I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Joshua Krakow. I'm the chair of the Lee County Libertarian Party. I'm also the candidate for District 77 State House. And I just wanted to introduce myself to everybody and ask everybody to stay after and address any of your concerns that I can present from the state level. That's all I really have today. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. Eileen?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I was at the meeting last time in the evening when we talked about the dog park moving to the fun park. That's my issue. I expressed my concerns in the meeting and I followed up with emails, gotten positive feedback from some of those emails, but I wanted to talk today to make sure, like Tamara, that this information is getting communicated up the chain, so to speak. The agenda today has a lovely report from Parks and Recreation Department about how positive recreation facilities will affect property values in a positive way, and that was very nice to see, and I 100% agree with that. I do believe that well-maintained and well-planned recreation facilities will contribute to increased property values. I know every resident in this room has the same exact agenda. We all want our property values to go high or stay high, and we want our taxes to stay low. And that's the essential ingredient, or somewhere finding that secret sauce, and that's what your job is. And I appreciate the volunteer effort from this committee to work towards that. My issue is sound. I have property adjacent to the fun park. I also work from home, and I have a bird's eye view of what goes on at that fun park, and I've seen a lot. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly over the years. I think right now it's really good. I think it's been well maintained the past few years, and it's been brought up to a higher level of maintenance, contributing to increased interaction, increased usage. I'll just tell you, this is my observation, and it's no scientific study, but here's what's going on there. Mostly basketball. Every single day there are people using those basketball courts, and all ages, you know, young and old together, parents and children together. The play structure, the swings and the slide, every single day there's families there. There's kids that are being pushed in strollers, and a couple of toddlers running around. They use it during the school hours. After school, there's kids coming over and playing with their families or friends. Volleyball, not so much. Once in a while, there's an actual organized volleyball game, but lots more often it's used as the big sandbox for the toddlers and the kids, and they seem to enjoy it. The open field, the space is used for ball skills. Football, parents, my assessment is it's parents, but there's adults there teaching kids skills, tossing the ball. There's soccer practice going on, softball skills, batting practice, mostly adults interacting with kids. There's also, I've seen actual physical training sessions where maybe it's a trainer they've hired, maybe it's just a neighbor, but a group of kids with a trainer running.
Wrap it up.
Been 3 minutes. Okay. Last thing is the sound. There is a Lee County sound ordinance. I do believe that a dog park will violate that sound ordinance on a regular basis. I will say in this, we have the limits, we know the decibel readings. It does say that a sound of short duration is usually less than 1 second with abrupt onset. That's coming straight from the ordinance, and I think a dog park is going to create much longer than 1 second of sound decibel levels greater than the 66 required for residential. So please take all those things into consideration, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Drew.
Thanks.
Can we make a comment, or? That concluded the public comment.
Oh, you might have some online. Check to make sure you don't have any online. Just ask if anybody online would like to speak.
Does anybody online would like to speak? Does anybody online need to speak?
Yes,
State your name, please.
Betty Polidoros.
Okay, you have 3 minutes.
Okay. I live in Pinecrest, and my issue is once again the dog park. I don't know if you guys realize it, but behind my house, I already have a business where there's lots of traffic, cars in and out, people in and out all day long, which is already creating a situation for me here. And putting a dog park is just going to add to that. I think this is the most ridiculous concept that anyone has ever come up with, to put a dog park behind people's homes. This should never be allowed. This should not happen. It's truly unfair to the residents here to just assume that it's okay to put a dog park in their backyards without giving them a voice to say no. It's totally inappropriate. It's totally unfair. And I think this shouldn't even be considered. There's other areas here in Gateway that it could be put, common area. There's plenty of space there for a dog park. There's no reason why it should be in our backyards. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else online? Need to speak? Okay, so is this Lisa? Come on up, Lisa.
Hi, thank you for your service. My name is Lisa Gottesman. I'm a realtor in Gateway since 2004. So I was doing yoga in the park. We do yoga in the park there on Saturdays, and Eileen had came up and discussed the whole park issue. So I started this week just to kind of do some homework, and I started to go to the park early. I started looking around at the current park, looking at the hours, the usage of the park, the opinions of people at the park. And I have 3 big dogs. I don't bring my dogs there just because of the condition, because it's usually muddy and it's more work for me than just to take them out on a grassy area. But as a realtor, you know, you guys know how many families have moved into Gateway in the last 3 years since COVID. Pretty much, I mean, our whole neighborhood is transformed, and to take away a park to create a dog park would really, I mean, we don't cater really to family yet. We're in that mode. So I just think that you should consider the lack of parks that we already have and the sense of community. When I'm going through the community with new buyers in the car, they like to see the parks. They like to see that. They don't see the dog park because it's in a place where it should be, which is away from homeowners' homes. You never see a dog park backed up to a bunch of houses. I've never seen that in all my years. And I think that that would grossly impact the people that live on that street. I don't go over there because I'm grossed out by the urine smell in the summer. So what are they gonna smell? What are they gonna smell? I mean, and ironically today, I went and I took a picture of a woman that's walking her dogs at the Gateway, at the soccer complex where the kids are supposed to go. She's not in the dog park. And I walked up to her and I just said, hey, you know, just curious, what do you think? Do you use the park? And she said, yeah, but I was in a hurry today because I have to get back to work. She said, but I cleaned up though. And I said, well, tell me what you think. And she said, and I'm quoting her, she said, I'm all for the park. And she said, this park, there's not enough parking. But she also said, and the conditions are terrible. People don't clean up after themselves and it's dirty. So who's gonna police that? You know, and I'm not for either. I'm just voicing, because I'm a realtor and this is my business. This is where I am the voice of buyers that come through the community. And honestly, you know, we're growing families, and we don't need another dog park. Maybe we can find a solution to fix the one that we already have. It's my suggestion. Anyway, thank you all for your service. That's all.
Thank you. That is it.
All right, that's all for public comments. So the next agenda item is the approval of the last month's meeting minutes. Did everybody get a chance to look at it? I'm going to make a motion to approve.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
It's a working building. They're working.
All right, so the next agenda item is the financial reports for January of 2024.
Before can I make a comment? I'd like to make a comment before we go on with the rest of the agenda, to the people that are here and the lady that spoke over, earlier. I understand what you're saying, and we considered all those things when we decided to relocate the dog park. We really considered them, but I want you to consider this. This is a prime real estate lot. If we are going to develop something else, which is
We're
inevitable.
outside voice. Use your outside voice into the mic.
Outside voice.
Sorry.
So,
The microphones that are in front of you don't work. It's just that little tiny microphone way over by the podium, so you have to talk loud.
okay. I usually have the opposite problem until. But I would like to address everyone that made a comment about the dog park. And I understand this is your home. I understand your concerns. And I have been to the existing dog park. I have been to the fun park. I call it the no fun park because there's not much over there now. And we spent hours in this committee considering all the different options. But what I would like to say is that this is a prime lot. There's not many lots that have not been developed in Gateway, and part of the reason why I know for a fact for myself and a couple of other members, we suggested the dog park is because we wanted to keep it green and open. One of the speakers said that you have a business right now there. Well, this lot is zoned commercial. So if we sell it to generate that income, guess what's going to happen next? Probably. There's no way to know. So you have zero control for those residents. You have zero control of what's going to happen. Versus if we have a well-manicured dog park with proper amenities, you have some control and most of the space is green. That's just food for thought for you.
So I guess is there a message there for us that this is kind of a wasted effort? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, that's not what I said. I said, well, I know we cannot conversate that way, but
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say to you is I heard a lot of, no, we don't want to, but I didn't hear any other solution. And it's more realistic that this lot more likely will be sold to generate income for all the improvements that need to happen. So then the residents will have zero control of what happens to that lot. And I think the real estate agents probably understand that very well. That as a resident and someone that has a home here and I love this area and would like to develop it, that's something for you all to consider. That's all I'm saying. I would consider it.
All right, so the next agenda item is the financial reports for January 24. This hasn't really changed at all, right? It's all the same.
A lot of the work that we do, especially with regards to plantings and sod and things like that, occurs in the wet months. So, but we do have a lot of things that are, Daniel could probably speak better to it, that are queued up or are getting queued up to do. I know Carrie's been working a lot up at the pool and making a lot of improvements, and we've got some smaller projects on the books for that. But yeah, this really hasn't changed much. And I believe these are based on the January financials. We're still waiting on the February financials to come through, which normally come in mid-month, mid-March. So if you have any questions, let us know.
All right. Any questions?
May I address the lady who just spoke?
I'm sorry, we didn't hear you.
I said, may I address the lady who just spoke about the dog park?
Ma'am, we're not at public comment anymore. The committee has moved on. Is there public comment at the end? There's not public. If the committee wishes to take public comment towards the end, that's your purview. That's the committee's purview. Or now, if you want to let her speak now, that's totally up to you.
Save it to the end.
Okay.
All right, so the next item up is the Playworld Playground updated proposal.
So Daniel Potter, Public Works Director, was speaking on behalf of this. This is a proposal that we were working on for a while, got it back with the dome enclosure and a swing set. It's a little bit over the allocated budget, but I think it's something that we can work with for the future of the Commons. Any questions?
I can't see the cost. There are costs there, still little blank.
The costs are attached as part of the quote in the board, in the packet, so you can find that online.
And that's the one we voted on, what, 2 months ago?
Yes, correct.
Correct.
So that was the update with the swing set
Mm-hmm. Right.
per your comments.
Right.
Just go back there, but. Total amount.
119,493.95 was the estimated quote.
So again, to reiterate, this committee has spoken in length for months now about this playground, right? And we have this conceptual plan that has been approved by the board and vetted through this committee. My name is Chelsea O'Reilly, District Manager, for those online. Ultimately, the intent, to the gentleman's point earlier, was a lot of these amenities are already in your communities, right? You might have a playground or a swing set or something small. That's why this committee, and correct me if I'm wrong, and the record shows, the direction was to try to bring, at least with regards to the children's play set, bring them out of communities, out of their gated communities. What can we attract them to at the Commons? And the intent is to the playground at the fun park. It's beyond its useful life at this point. It either needs a major overhaul or it needs to be removed. We've patched and put duct tape and gum on it as much as we can, but ultimately the life of that playground equipment it's beyond its useful life. So this playground, as Daniel mentioned, is slightly over your budgeted amount this year. But again, the intent of this playground is to put it up at the Commons as part of the phase 1 of the park amenities. So if you have any comments about the playground, we're kind of at the point where with the vendor, we need to kind of either say yes or no and incorporate this structure and playground into the master concept design.
I have a comment regarding that. I know where I live in Gateway Greens, we don't have any recreational anything for kids. The community next to us, I think it's called Windrush, something like that. They don't have anything back there. The only thing we have is a country club, and you have to pay for that. So I'm curious what communities do have their own stuff and what communities here don't have. And if you could just break it down by a percentage, saying, 70% of the communities in Gateway do not have amenities, then it kind of reinforces what we would like to do versus the gentleman who was alluding that, well, we don't need it because it's already established in most of the communities. So I'm just curious if that could be answered now or. if you
I
could-
don't have that information readily available, but I can try to dig it up if you guys want to continue on through your agenda items.
Okay.
All right.
Is there any way to lower the installation cost by doing it with some of the Gateway people? I know there's probably a contract that says that, you know, well, if we put it together, it'll last as much longer than if Daniel puts it together.
It's a package deal per se. You want the playground, because they're certified playground specialists. Okay, they're certified to do this, and you want them to do it so that you have the warranty and everything else with it.
And the liability
Exactly.
is theirs.
All right, so the way this is all set up with the dome and the swing set, we're gonna approve the proposal for the play world, dome and swing option, and transfer the funds from another Parks and Rec account to this account. If anyone would like to,
Sounded like a motion there.
I'll make a motion to go forth with the plan as presented.
I'll second that.
anyone opposed? No, so that passes. All right, so the next item agenda up is the Parks and Rec and the impact on the community that surrounds.
Okay, my name is Carrie Runyon, Park Supervisor, and I put this in the packet today just for the information purposes about what Parks and Recreation does to the communities, what impacts, how's it impact on the communities. This is through the Florida Florida Parks and Recreation Association. They built a report to show that how parks add value to the community in regards to home values, healthcare, tourism, environment, jobs, and public safety. So the Florida Recreation and Park Association is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion, preservation, and advocacy of the Parks and Recreation and Leisure Services profession. So they're out of Tallahassee, and I am a member of this organization, and most of the members are professionals working for federal, state, and local parks and recreation facilities and leisure services agencies. Local Recreation and Park Advisory Board members, also they're serving in local communities, faculty and students, therapeutic rec specialists, and activity coordinators. So by providing this education, professional certification, networking, legislative representation, and leadership opportunities to parks professionals, FRPA has become a leading association recognized by Florida Trend Magazine as a top-ranked association. So this association came out with this report on why Parks and Recreation matters to your home values, your health care, and you can look this up online as well. Tourism dollars, and there's a lot of tourism in Lee County. Environment based on stormwater management. We have a lot of stormwater management here, as well as public safety, parks and recreation programs, and total jobs created by parks and rec programs as well. So here's your final information. It's an overview about your tax dollars and costs and how many youth are in swim lessons or safety programs, and you're more than welcome to visit this online.
The next item up is going to be the dog park statistics.
Okay. So here's the first, let me make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. All right.
Carrie, why don't you go over the history stuff, why we have all this stuff on here? Should we do?
I'm sorry?
That's what we do.
Go for it.
Okay. So as we've been discussing, Chelsea O'Reilly again, as we've been discussing everything Parks and Rec, right? And the board has directed this committee as well as staff to compile some of this information. So on top of revenue, expenses, scans per day, we did the decibel readings. Did I miss anything?
Landscape, decibel survey, and fun park stats.
Yep, so ultimately, this is the compilation, and I wish Ed Moore were here because he took lead on a lot of this. I think he's either going into surgery or I don't know, but this is the information that was requested of the board, and working with Ed on really a lot of this information. The compilation, I'll let Carrie go through each individual item, but let us know if you have any questions.
So the board provided direction to PrAC and staff to review usage, revenue, and decibel readings. And right now at the dog park, there's currently 162 active memberships as of 1/24/2024. 126 residents and 36 non-residents. So the first item, this is the total number of scans by time of day. So you can see that your morning and late afternoon are the times primarily where you have the most scans. And it's done by the half hour. This is the decibel reading on 2/15/2024 between 7 and 7:30 a.m. And you can see the different locations of where the readings were taken and what the numbers were. So the highest was 73 and the lowest was 47. And this was dogs barking. We had dogs actually out at this facility and they were barking. So this was the decibel readings.
What is the ordinance, in the ordinance, what can't the decibel level be over?
I think it's in the, it's in
the next one.
It's in the packet.
What is that a picture of? Is that the park?
That's
the fun
the
park?
park. This is the fun park.
What time would it take?
7:30 in the morning is when the decibels were taken, and they were taken with the sheriff's office decibel reader, which that has to be certified every year. And so there were at least, I think, 6 dogs out there that day. And I actually had the dots correspond to where the dog was and where I stood with the decibel reader.
But did you do the decibel reading over at the dog park?
Not at the, we did not do the decibel reading at the existing dog park. We did it here at the fun park.
She did it where the dog park possibly will go.
Right, but that doesn't make any sense. If there's a bunch of dogs there and there's a bunch of noise all at once, then you should measure the decibel of all the dogs, not at a park where there's random 4 dogs. Yeah, that doesn't actually make any sense.
What this was showing is with dogs there and they're barking, what the decibel will be reading and what you would be hearing in these homes that surround this park. That is why this was done. All right, next.
I'm hearing people say they don't
Here's-
believe these numbers.
No, it's not that.
No,
Believe
the
it.
numbers.
Test.
No, I'm trying to say what she said.
Recreate what you're trying to
Recreate what you're
put
trying to
over
do,
there. Yeah. At the busiest hours.
Because when I looked at these numbers, I thought the same thing.
Dave, we need to make sure that we're not either, if we're gonna converse back and forth, then we need to make it a point and everybody needs to identify themselves.
Okay.
Okay, this is the statistic for the survey that was done in the neighborhood. This was done by Ed Moore.
Yes.
So, as you can see, I have the numbers, the percentages. So there were 79 likes, 15 loves, 58 comments, and 6 negative comments. The different areas were sell the property, move the dog park to the fun park, don't have an opinion, do nothing, or other. So You could see the different percentage of each. It also stated where you lived, if you lived in Eagle Point, Pinecrest, or other, and each answer and what percentage and how many.
So the district did, the district had their own Parks and Rec survey for the master park plan, and then Mr. Moore, being the president of Eagle Point, decided to take this upon himself and direct target Pinecrest and the Eagle Point community, and working with the Pinecrest president to solicit this to their residents. So that's where these results came from.
And then a lot of the comments that were up here in the top, a lot of the comments, there were 58 comments and 6 of them were negatives, but most of them were positive. And there's a list of different comments that people made regarding this survey that Mr. Moore did. And I'm not going to go over each one. You can look at this online as well. It's pretty extensive. And then the last statistic was, what should we do? So 32%, there were 93 submissions at the fun park. 32% said other. 33% move the dog park to the fun park. And the other large one was do nothing, 26%.
So, do you have any questions with regards to the follow-up?
So there were staff recommendations on here as well.
For
the dog park, about the size of the dog park and what would happen if we don't make this a dog park.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so staff recommends if the dog park stays as is, where it is in the location, the size of the dog park will be reduced to 1 large dog park to provide more parking roadway for northeast corner of the Sherman Soccer Complex. So if we do not move this over to the fun park, it will go down to 1 larger dog park.
And one of the other things that the board had requested at their last meeting is for us to get an appraisal on the fun park in the event that the district did decide to sell it. And I know I met with one gentleman personally, he asked to discuss this whole concept plan, and he recommended to move it up to the commons as part of future phases. But ultimately, this was budgeted in this fiscal year. We wanted to have this conversation with you all, and then we intend on taking it to the board at their next meeting because they are reviewing the 60% design of the parking expansion and maintenance building for Public Works and Parks and Rec at the March 21st meeting. So all of these things play into each other, which is why we originally discussed moving the dog park to the fun park. That way we could accommodate additional parking for the Sherman Soccer Complex.
So when you say staff, is that the people that you work with?
Yes. If the decision is from the board is to stay and keep it where it currently is, I would recommend that we reduce the size of it, which in essence would reduce our costs, and do like we did with the Sherman Soccer Complex, is make sure that do a cost benefit analysis. It should be recouping, if not recovering, up to 100% of the costs that are spent into it. And if it's not, then we need to put together a plan to recover those costs over a time period, 2 to 3 years, and increase the rates.
This is Dave Ruth. I make a motion that we do that based on all of the things that we heard in our last meeting, February 6th and today. Not to move the dog park to the fun park, but continue to use the fun park the way I think, I can't remember names.
I can't remember sometimes, Lisa.
Get worse.
That nice looking lady back there. Anyway, to use it as a play field, as a place to, to bat and to catch balls, and to have a green space where if somebody wants to walk their dog over, they can do that. And we have a big park that's out by the commons.
Hold on, you have a motion, you need to call for a second.
But what's the motion for, to leave it where it
The
is?
motion is to do exactly what she was saying, what the staff recommended that we do if we don't move the dog park.
Which
No,
would,
but that's not what you're saying. The staff recommended that if we keep the dog park here, it has to be smaller. The staff didn't recommend anything about the fun park.
No.
So what are you motioning then?
I'm making a motion that we deal with the dog park where it is at this point in time. But I don't understand why it has to be smaller, or we have to just go to one large dog park instead of having a fence down the middle and having two separate pieces.
okay,
So Carlo, you have a motion?
Anybody second that?
Discussion.
All right, so then the motion dies.
What is
I have
the
discussion.
cost?
Did you want to second it for discussion? Or you just want to talk?
I am not seconding the motion. I am requesting further discussion on it before the motion is presented to pass or not.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so discussion topic, Paul Weaver. Going back to what Dave said, why would it have to be reduced down? Right, that's number one, if it was to stay where it is. Is the goal to increase parking for the soccer teams, and is that why it would be reduced down? And if that's the case, what's the revenue expected by increasing the parking for the soccer complex, right? So, in other words, what's the goal? Are we trying to get more parking in there so we can generate more income by the soccer, and that's why we're looking to move the dog park? Or, let's start there.
Well, Mayor, so because you were not, in our previous, we've been at it for a year now almost. I don't remember the exact date, but close to a year. So the soccer fields are there and obviously they're not getting moved. There's an increased problem with the parking. Soccer fields need parking. So we have to find a way to create the parking. Since both, and correct me if I'm wrong, since both the fun park was in disrepair and the dog park as well needs some revamping, the best and easiest way would be to just take that space from where the dog park is now and make it a parking because it's adjacent.
Maria, can you speak a little louder?
Because it is obviously adjacent to the soccer field. So starting from that point, and the soccer fields are successful, and obviously they generate income. We have to use that space as a parking. So for me, to make it smaller and then trying to develop it again and then not create enough parking is like putting, excuse my French, lipstick on a pig. We need to do something proper. Gateway is not a small community. And I think if we're going to invest any kind of money and respect the money people contribute, needs to be done properly. That's where I stand and I base my decisions on. Now, going forward to the existing fun park area, like I said before, we considered all that in many, many meetings for hours on end. This is a commercial real estate lot that's worth a lot of money. Realistically, how long do you think Gateway is going to be sitting on that lot without doing anything? Just because. It's not very realistic, is it? We have to generate income from one place to build another up. Our goal is to improve generally the condition for all communities here. At least that's the goal of this committee here, to provide more recreational areas for all the communities, the ones primarily that don't have any. So starting from that, then we have a dog park that needs to be moved in order to keep that area green and not risk selling it and have it a commercial. You could have like, I don't know, commercial vehicles going in and out of there all day, or however what is zoned what the permit allows, several stories building there. So we considered all that. So for us, the lesser of the two evils was the dog park. And that's where we're coming from.
Are we still discussing this?
So, yeah. we're discussing.
Well, I think we made some hasty decisions, or maybe took a long time to make a decision on the location of the dog park. And we didn't take into consideration the people that live there in the manner that we did. We had our February 6th meeting to get input, to invite you people to come and to speak to us and tell us what you really would like to see happen in this area. I think the people that are involved the most are the people that are adjacent to this dog park. And there's I count 7 or more houses. And those houses probably have a bigger vote in what happens to that area, or should. I talked to a friend of mine who had didn't want to get involved with this committee or any other committee because he sells real estate in the area. But he said that he thought that each of those houses would lose value by $30,000 each. That's 7 times 30,000, that's $210,000 if I can calculate correctly. And I would be really upset if one of those houses were mine. And I know we've talked about this till we don't want to talk about it anymore. Some people have made up their mind. I had kind of made up my mind, kind of thinking that we're not doing anything that detrimental. But the more I hear and the more I see, I have to reverse my position on this.
Okay.
From where I'm coming from, so this is what was eye-opening to me. I'm an analytics person, right? So I'm very much into numbers. This is my calculation. This isn't official by any means, but the last meeting we had publicly at night, we had 21 out of 23 public comments speak against having the dog park there for one reason or another. I'm not saying what is valid in my opinion or not, but completely and totally against it. Not even in the middle, right? Like absolutely no. So we had 21 out of 23. Then today we had 4 out of 6 again. So that brings us to 25 out of 29 public comments. And again, we're dealing with 29 public comments. It's a small section, but how many people are actually being impacted? And are those the people that are coming? To me, it's eye-opening, right?
167, I'd count the houses back there.
Okay, right. So to me, that's eye-opening. And it causes enough concern where, if we're going to vote to move forward with this right away, I would have to disagree with that, at least for further comment. And I apologize for that. I know it's been going on for a year, but I think we need to do more before we are ready to say yes or no.
Well, I got a chance. Can I interject again? Daniel Potter, Public Works Director. To add on to what Maria was talking about, there is another driving factor that is also trying to get that dog park out of its current location. The fact that there is a utilities building being built in that back corner where the utilities well is right now, for Lower Hawthorne Well, where we're building another well and an actual facility, adding the parking and roadway back there. And it was a good time at the exact same time to add more parking as well for the soccer field, which is seriously, you have to come up here on Friday, Saturday night during league time, is lacking and creating safety issues in the back corner across the board. So on top of what Maria said, there's a little bit more behind it as well.
I'd like to make a motion to do an economic impact analysis on the increase in parking if we were to move the dog park. I'm not saying where to, but if we were to be able to remove that dog park from that area, how much income would we generate based on that? What are the benefits to having more parking there? All of that, kind of really focusing on the analysis there.
Well, there's not going to be any more cost efficiency as far as the league's already maxed out.
There is no parking.
There's just no parking.
What do you mean?
Yeah, what
We're
do you
not
mean?
charging.
So-
What do you mean economic benefit?
Right, so we can't bring more teams in, we can't do more competition, we can't do more matches or anything.
There
No.
is no parking. People are parking at the street. It's a hazard. There is no parking.
Yeah, if you go there on the weekend, I mean, the fields are all jammed. So you can't add
So
more
you
teams. or
can't,
anything.
you can't start
How many
charging
parking
$5.
spots, how many parking spots are
He
we
made a motion.
getting?
If there's no second to it, then we.
So obviously that
decide.
dies, right?
It dies.
So,
I-
Question,
How many
discussion
more-
again, how many parking spots are we looking to gain if we do remove the dog park?
If you take the dog park out of the entire mix completely,
Yep.
it's about 250 more spaces to park in that back area.
250 cars.
So it expands where the dog park's at, it comes back down the fence line towards where the new utilities building and our well is that run the length of field 5 towards the back.
And I have a comment, but back to what David said, and I'm sorry, Debbie, but I resent the fact that she said we hastily made a decision. No decisions were made hastily. We debated for hours here. We banged ourselves against the wall to try to make a decision that was best.
We
And
made
also,
the decision
and-
amongst ourselves.
Exactly.
Not
But
without-
we considered all the options, and the options are still the same. And also, I don't like the fact of the hearsay. Oh, so-and-so said that there's 30% decrease in value. Where's the proof for that? So-and-so said, so-and-so said, I
Let me
mean, I
try to
don't.
say.
Public comments.
Public comments, I'm
I'm gonna
sorry.
bring in the answer.
So-
We have to respect the process.
So, hold on, was there a motion on the floor made by Paul? There's a motion on the floor made by Paul, correct? So we need to call for a second.
I pull my motion back because it doesn't, there's no financial impact, it was empty. So,
Okay,
No, there's no
okay.
motion to do analysis then.
Can I make a motion? Robert Lewis. So I would make a motion that we take a look at the tell CDD, Board of Supervisors, go forth, get an appraisal to sell that property, and then to see, also figure out how much would it be to locate the dog park on the southeast end between the pool and the lake, towards the north side, which would not impact the proposed Navy Theater, and put it up in that corner to find out what it would cost to move that. If it would be almost a balance or even a better balance, then, we could sell that property. So my motion would be go for it. My motion would be figure out what it would cost to move the dog park to that area and a genuine appraisal of the property itself.
Second.
Anyone opposed?
Did I say that motion? It was a long motion.
Okay, so the motion is figure out what it would cost to move the dog park to the commons in the northeast corner between the pool and the lake, and to get an appraisal to sell the property for the fun park.
Which they already got.
We're working
They're already
on.
Well, they're working.
on the appraisal.
And then that way we can kind of make a decision, does it make sense? Keep the community happy and sell the property, and they'll have
Is
to
the
deal
community
with.
going to be happy, and is this the better thing for the community? They end up with a dumpster company parking dumpsters on their backyard.
You know,
Out of our
I'm
control.
sorry to
So
start to
that's my
violate the
motion.
process, but I don't appreciate being threatened that you're gonna sell the
Right.
property unless we agree to the dog park. So, you guys are.
So there's a motion, and then there's a
Unbelievable.
second
Unbelievable.
by,
You're ignoring the decibels.
Who
Great
made the second?
representation, thank you guys.
who made the
It's
second?
really, really hard for those of us offline to hear. You are all
It's
talking at
just-
one time.
The property is underutilized.
Well, hold on, we have a motion and a second. Is there, Carlo, you want to call for any further discussion for that specific motion that Mr. Lewis made?
Well, I think we should just get an estimate to move it anywhere in the commons, not just specifically in that corner.
I agree.
Basically,
Okay.
An evaluation of where else we can move the dog park, because obviously what it is right now is not okay with the public.
Okay,
What we're hearing, that's the feedback, right?
I'll amend my motion.
Okay.
Let's just figure out what it would cost to move the dog park to the commons.
I second that.
Well, I will not second that, and I will tell you why. Because the dog park needs to be moved, and regardless of what it's gonna cost, it needs to be moved. So the cost has nothing to do with the issue that the homeowners have now. We need to solve that issue. The dog park will need to be moved to generate the parking. We'll find another space, I'm sure, somewhere. The issue is, I honestly, at this point, I make a motion to just sell the lot and be done. And let the residents go with
I don't
it.
second that at all.
Why do you have to sell the lot? Why does it have to be?
If we're selling the lot, so,
Why are you?
wait. I believe that the issue, the major concern with moving the dog park is the location in which we are saying that it should be moved to. I think that's the primary issue on the table that we're hearing from the public, at least that's what I'm hearing, right? Is that specific location has too great of an impact on homeowners, has too big of a concern on house values. It's that area. So again, if I can't second your motion, I'm going to make a motion to do an evaluation of where would be a more acceptable.
Hold on, time
plausible
out.
pace.
We still have a motion on the table for discussion, and that was the one that Mr. Lewis made originally. And that was to, the
I'm
motion,
gonna go to the, with the amendment.
you amended that original appraisal.
Yeah, I
one.
said just to remove the selling of the park, just go, what would the cost be to move it to the commons or?
Okay, is there a second?
I second that.
Okay, is there any further discussion on that specific item? Okay, so call the vote.
Does anyone oppose that motion?
I oppose. I see it pointless.
Okay. So then that
So
means it's a 3-4,
4 to
as my
1.
math is snapping, 4-1 vote approving with what Mr. Lewis just said. Okay, now, Paul, if you wish to make an additional motion, you can. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any further discussion on this topic?
Which one?
Dog park.
The dog, item 7C, dog park statistics.
I make a motion that we don't consider selling the fun park because it can be used for a lot of different things for the community.
All right, is there a
Well, we're
second?
gonna get that appraisal first, right? Somebody says it's worth,
We were told the other day in a meeting, I think Chelsea said it, you had some numbers that what the fun park was worth if we sold it.
We're getting an appraisal,
so why
which
don't we
we
wait
should
for
have by the
that
end
to
of the
the
week.
appraisal, and then we'll.
Okay,
we
so,
can vote on that.
but he made a motion. So is there any seconds to David's motion? You want to repeat it for us? To not, it was
I
to
make a
not
motion
sell?
that we don't sell the fun park at all because it's an asset to the community and people are using it for different things. I think, did you do yoga on the
Hold on.
property? Okay.
All right, so is there a second?
Second.
All right, so is there any further discussion on Mr. Ruth's motion?
You know, the very first thing before those folks over there were even part of this committee, one of the very first things that we were charged with, we were told we have 4 parks. And of the 4 parks, the least utilized was the fun park. And what can we do about that park? And the considerations at that time were sell it or come up with some ideas for the park. And the best idea that came up was, well, put the dog park over there. And so that went through all of our committee discussion, and that's what we eventually recommended.
I agree.
So it was either sell it that was really one of the very first
The very
things,
first things.
what to do with an underutilized park.
So I will tell you that we have replaced the sink, because there's only one basketball hoop there. We have replaced that basketball net 3 times in the last 6 months, 3 months.
In the rim twice in
In the
6
rim
months.
twice.
Well,
So,
historically, let me add some history. Historically, one of the baskets was removed and it was lowered because the neighbors were complaining that people outside, quote unquote, outside of the community were parking at night with their lights shining on the basketball court, and they were playing basketball at night. So the district decided, since that was pre this committee being formed, the district decided, well, let's remove one of the baskets and let's lower it to discourage that type of activity. So in essence, the basketball court was not going to be furthered because the people that surrounded it didn't like how that was being utilized. The volleyball court is hardly getting used. It's got a lot of weeds growing in it because it's just not getting used. So what other, and there were the dilapidated gymnasium type things for kids over there that needed major renovation or replacement. So we were told, well, what should we do with the fun park? And that's where we came up. Well, selling it was an option, and moving the dog park over there, and also maybe we could put Victory Gardens there. So that was the status, and that's what we decided way over a year ago.
Exactly.
Is there-
And also, the play facilities for the the smaller kids, they are wearing disrepair. And they, quite frankly, need to be replaced, and there's not much there to begin with. It was unsafe as far as I'm concerned. And that was the whole entire idea. If you need so much money, I mean, yeah, ideally, if I was a homeowner, sure. It's convenient for me to leave that lot empty, but is it realistic? Come on, guys. We're talking about a lot of money here. Is it realistic? That lot was not deeded to the homeowners, with all due respect, when they purchased their homes. It wasn't deeded. And you don't have control. Like, if I back up to a preserve, okay, but if I don't have any control of what happens there. So we picked the lesser of the two evils, as far as I'm concerned, to have the area green and to prevent having it commercialized.
Is the board supposed to be making money, or is it supposed to be representing the people?
Is there any further discussion for the motion that Mr. Ruth made and Paul seconded for not selling the fun park? Is there any further discussion?
I have one other things to say. We have spent a year doing and looking at different things, but I heard a lot of comments today of ways that park is being used that I didn't know about, or that I didn't think about. So, maybe there's a time where if you make a decision, sometimes it's time to take a step back and re-examine or rethink with the input of other people, a better way to do it, to be more creative. And if people like this continue to come to our meetings, which we've had meetings for a year with nobody here. So that if people from, Eagle Point and, Pinecrest would come to these meetings, and we could all come up with a really good solution for that piece of land. And we did have some ideas about, growing things and having a Victory Gardens and some other things. I played college basketball, so, I can talk about basketball till you guys don't want to hear me anymore. But I would like to see us, really think about what should be there, take a step back and look at it again, and be more creative instead of digging in and saying, this is what we came up with a year ago or 5 months ago, and this is what we're going to continue to pound into everybody.
So just to be clear, what your motions here, you are an advisory committee to the Board of Supervisors. So your motions are essentially recommendations to the board, and the board has the final decision. So is there any further discussion on this item about not selling the fun park? Recommending not to sell. Thank you, Paul. All right, you want to call for a vote, Carlo?
So we have, who made the motion?
I did.
Made the motion, seconded. Anyone opposed?
Yes.
I'm opposed.
So 3-2.
Which
Opposed?
direction?
Which direction?
No,
direction?
I'm for it.
Oh, for the motion to not sell.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a 3-2 to not sell. All right. That will be taken to the Board of Supervisors for their consideration.
All right, so the last item up for discussion is the survey results.
Okay. I'm gonna go over these quickly. First of all, there was we need a requested motion to review and discuss the survey results and provide direction for the next steps, okay? So, the survey, we had questions, we had about 10 or 11 questions. And you can see the survey results in a bar format from either neither or very dissatisfied. So I'm not going to go through each and every one of these unless you want me to.
Can you blow them up just a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah, let's go through them, because I'd like to know what we learned from this survey.
All right. So, how satisfied are you with the current parks and recreational amenities in your community? So, about almost 30% said neither satisfied, neither or. Somewhat satisfied was about 28%. Somewhat dissatisfied is under 20. And then you can look at very satisfied is about 18%, and dissatisfied was less than 10.
So does anybody have any questions or comments on that question with the results? No?
Okay, how do you prefer to receive community announcements and information? 1 is preferred to 5 is the least. So, email. Most people prefer to see emails. Social media posts are right behind them. Flyers and posters, came in about 3rd place at 28%. Digital messaging was about 22%, and then the web page. People go look at the web page. It's probably about 18%. Anybody have any questions?
That helped us identify how we need to communicate for, at least with the 928 respondents that we received, how we can better communicate to the Gateway community. And it's very apparent, it's through email and social media. And you'll notice that right outside of Soccer Drive, we have the variable message board out for the fishing derby, which is Saturday. So we're trying to different avenues of communication.
Okay, number 6, how frequently do you utilize Gateway Services CDD existing parks and recreation facilities? Less than 40% said rarely, about 20% said weekly, about 19% said never. Monthly was about 16-17%, and daily was about 5% out of 928 people.
Does anybody have any questions?
No, that was enlightening though. That 20% or never. It's interesting.
Could we comment on that?
Yeah,
sure. Discussion.
You know, I think probably a lot of people would say rarely is because unless you play soccer,
There's nothing
There
there.
is nothing
there
there.
to do.
There's nothing to do, except go to the pool.
Exactly.
I don't play soccer. I mean, I go over here to do my voting weekly, but I don't do anything else here. And I think that contributes to that there's nothing really to offer.
There is nothing to do. Like, I go out in the community on a daily basis. I would utilize trails for walking if there were. I would utilize a nicer dog park. I would utilize, say, another activity, the pickleball, whatever, but there is none.
If I
So
had kids,
how, of course, I'm never gonna use it if it's not there.
and if I had kids, we wouldn't use anything because there's nothing, I would go to fun.
We have a playground here too.
Well, that's true.
Number 7.
Except on Saturday and Sunday, there's no parking. And Friday night, there's no parking.
And going back to that fun park, I've been there so many times and I've passed by.
There's nothing.
There's nothing going on really. I mean, I think.
So come to yoga with me at 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock and stay for an hour and you'll get to see all of the people that
So
come.
you want to go to the next?
Question? Carlo,
Okay.
you ready?
Thank you.
Generalization that you don't know.
Okay, Gateway Services CDD Parks and Recreation has an advisory committee. What time of day would you attend a meeting? Evening was about 68%, afternoon was about 20%, and morning was about 12%.
That was my question.
Something to think about, something to consider as you guys consider your future meetings. I know you guys have already accommodated what once a quarter, you do night
Yeah.
meetings, so it's something to consider, keeping in mind we have staff time associated with it.
Next question, what specific improvements to parks and recreational facilities would you prioritize for the community? And people selected up to 3. So trails, the very popular one, court sports, 2nd, playgrounds is 3rd, other, and I'll go over some of the other ones right after this slide.
Like to hear.
Pool,
Do this at home.
picnic areas, and band shell. So the other, here were some of the other ones. So 633 people didn't answer. But some, you have pickleball, tennis, dog park, walking trails, pool improvements, more soccer fields, bocce ball. I mean, yeah, then you got your ones, golf course. Golf course. So those are your areas.
I didn't understand that. 633 people did not answer that, but how, I thought we only had 94 submissions.
928.
28.
928 submissions. And 633 didn't answer the question. So you fill out a survey, but you don't answer it.
So other people that answered were 80. They had other suggestions.
If you would like those, I can share those. They were interesting.
Yes, I would like to.
Oh, okay.
All right. Any questions about that one?
Sorry, thank you. Sure. I saw this.
Okay, which future phases of recreational amenities would you like to see developed in the community? Number 1 choice was a nature preserve. Other, we'll go over the others again. Multi-purpose indoor facilities, improved swimming, and baseball, softball fields. And some of your others, 570 people didn't answer. You had 100
I
and
think that's because they answered
the other question.
the other options.
These
They
options.
didn't click other.
They answered these.
Yes, they actually answered.
They answered nature preserves or swimming.
Yeah, one of the options, other than other.
Other, so your others were 61.
So we were on the right path really with suggesting the pickleball courts and all that
Yes.
stuff. That reaffirms that, so
Correct.
that's a good thing.
That's
Okay.
great. That's,
Yeah.
Can you go back up for just
Sure.
1 second? So I just wanted to make note, because we did get a lot of feedback, that there wasn't the option of none of the above, we don't want any. That's what the other option was for, and we've identified and counted for all of those nones or others in this, so that way you can quantify it here. So other than nones, we had 104. They didn't want anything. So.
10, did you attend Gateway sponsored events, Red, White, and Pool, Winterfest, youth fishing, Labor Day, and how often? About 34% said no, rarely, about 28%, occasionally, probably about 25%, and yes, frequently, was about 8%.
I have a comment on that. I think a lot of that is because lack of advertising of the events.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people don't realize that this.
Don't realize that case,
Right.
because they were very successful, the ones that did happen, I went to all of them,
There's a lot of people involved.
That's what we're working on right now.
absolutely.
Question 11, what type of events would you like to see or participate in? So
I thought this was great.
75% said farmers market.
This is cool.
This is very cool.
Food festivals, people like to eat and drink, 63%. Music concerts, about 62%. Craft fairs, 38%. Parades, and then other. Some of your others were community garage sales, community sales, run fun, raise funds for charity, food trucks, pickleball tournaments, craft beer, car shows, things like that. Last one. Would you attend a live music presentation event? If so, what type of music would you like to enjoy? Well, country is very popular around here at 55%, and then rock then jazz.
Our jazz guy. You're our jazz guy.
And then other.
Country bluegrass.
Oh,
Country bluegrass, yes.
and then hip hop was towards the bottom.
Okay.
So some of the others, here's some of the others that they would like to hear. There's only 21 people answering.
So, in looking at this, to me, it seems like the trails, the pickleball, and then those are a priority, which is what we included for the bigger park. To me, that's
We're hitting it.
information that
Yeah.
we need to go forward with this.
At least with the 900 and some respondents.
Right, which is not enough, but I would like to see some
It's-
thousands in participation, but obviously.
And then the last one, with events and youth adult programs, there are needed volunteers. Would you be willing to volunteer your time at these events as an individual or part of an organization?
This is from you.
That's great. To me, when I saw this originally, I'm like, honestly, it's surprising. At least where I'm from up north, we wouldn't get anywhere near that number of 40%.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I felt that out of the 928, 42% said yes. That's really good. And I think we should be reaching out to those people and letting them know what's going on.
You can always use volunteers.
Oh, yes.
So is there any discussions with regards to the survey results? Or any additional comments?
No.
Enlightened.
So you need to request a motion. You're supposed to review and discuss the survey results, provide direction for the next steps.
I think we are, this
Yeah,
reaffirms
that's-
we are on the right direction. So it really coincides with what we suggested
Yeah.
for the development of the larger park. So
Yeah, for the
I would
first
say
phase,
we're on a good
that's
track
what
for the first phase.
I would say one key thing to bring up is the fact that people would overwhelmingly like to have these meetings and attend these meetings sometime other than in the mid-afternoon. I'm lucky enough where I am still working, I work from home, I can excuse myself for a little bit of time to make it here. But I think we have a vast improvement in attendance if we could make this, maybe not every night, but I think we need to explore how to
Maybe
even
every other
expand, right, how to even expand the one per quarter that we've agreed on now, to make that more often.
Yeah, so let's put that on the next agenda item for next
Get
time.
to discuss the time, it seems, we have to.
To expand on the night meetings. Maybe,
I can
like you
formalize
said,
that.
every other month or something, we'll do so I'll make a motion.
You-
No, we
For the
don't
next,
make a motion.
yeah. Anybody else have anything for the next meeting, any agenda items that they want to bring up?
I would like to have the numbers for what the lot is worth on the next meeting and discuss that.
The appraisal.
The appraisal for.
Follow-up, we
the
can provide that information.
Fun Park, I would like to discuss that.
If that's back by then.
Well,
It
that would,
should be.
that
Should
would
be
be
good, yeah. So put
moot
that on.
since they voted not to sell them, or not to recommend.
But that's not up
We're
to
only,
us.
but that's not up to us, we're only
We just make
recommending.
suggestions.
Just getting the number right, exactly.
Right, so getting the number is vital.
So anything else for discussion at this point?
I think the park plan needs to be, I think there was a discussion at the CDD meeting to develop this in such a way that we have overlays of what is coming on from phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, not just color code these items, because it's overwhelming to most people.
That will be as part of the submittal, as part of the 30% design. And so you will have, as soon as we get that 30% design, it comes to you all, and then it'll go to the Board of Supervisors. So that is absolutely our intent, Mr. Ruth.
So it'll be 30%, there'll be a drawing that shows,
The colors.
let's say, the basketball court not there, or the
It'll
things,
show
the
the-
things that aren't necessary at this point in time. We'd like to see the pickleball court.
It'll show the phase 1 amenities that the board has directed, and then the rest of it will be kind of grayed out But, I mean, you'll still be able to kind of see where they lay on the plan.
I don't think that's what Doug was saying, and I wouldn't do it that way. I would not do, I would have one drawing that shows just phase one
Yep.
in it, because I think that people are gonna see that, oh, you're just gonna put these things in when we're not looking.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I think,
it's good feedback. I'll give that to the engineers.
think about it.
Thank you.
Can you just review the calendar for the next few months of activities?
Yes.
Well, that's what we're gonna do next time, for the next meeting.
So they already have it published, what they're doing, like Labor Day and things?
Oh, for that, I didn't remember earlier.
Yeah,
Sorry.
don't you already have some activities planned
Yes, we already.
in the community?
So let me kind of give you information, okay?
Okay.
Let me just update you. So the fishing derby, the first one is going to be Saturday, starts at 8 o'clock. You're all more than welcome to come.
Up at the pool?
Up at the pool. Starts at 8, so people can check it at 8:45. We have about 18 people, 18 kids so far, but I'm expecting more because they keep coming in right now. I tried to put together an egg hunt and work with the Denny Grimes Realty. And they already had everything out and going. And so they're gonna still have theirs at the same location. So I didn't wanna impact theirs. And we needed to have some space to do that. And we usually use the soccer fields, and we already have the soccer kids on those fields. So we couldn't move those dates. So we're trying to redirect, and we'll go to another fishing derby, and then I'm gonna work on the red, white, and
Pool.
And we're gonna go with some of that, and I'm gonna need some feedback on that. Then we'll probably do a Labor Day event. Just kind of like back to school, back to the grind type of thing. And then we'll go from there. Winterfest will always be in December. But we might do something a little bit different this year, but we haven't made that decision yet.
And it's
You
obviously.
know, I'm the one that's always big on music venues. Music venues real easy to do, you just have to find the performers. People can bring their lawn chairs, and it would be interesting if we could get something like that.
And I would
So,
also like to do a movie in the park.
Yeah.
Because I think that's one of the best things for families. They bring their drinks, they bring their popcorn, they come hang out, they watch the movie together, and they leave. But it's a family oriented, so I'm also working on that.
It'd be great activity for people, especially with children, to get them out of the house, to have something to do other than.
And the best place to put it would be on your soccer field, because
or the commons, because it's, the way that
I just-
commons, it slopes down, so people could, you could either put the projector high, and people facing that way, or down towards the lake.
I just like it on the nice grass. People lay there for
There's not a lot of
hours.
parking over there, really.
Yeah, there's not a lot of parking. Yeah, that makes it difficult. So that's what we're doing,
Okay.
okay? Any questions?
So the next meeting date is gonna be April 2nd at 1:30.
We could do it at the fun park, or not enough parking.
And the meeting's gonna be adjourned again until April 2nd at 1:30 at 3:02.
Right.